Hi, today I'm going to do a review of the CX-25P from Bellman. So what this is it's a steamer and a Moka Pot all built into one unit, which sounds great. I don't like it. When I tried it, it just didn't work for me. The thing is really well built. It's very good in some ways. For example, you know, you have a little valve on here so you can control the flow from a Moka Pot, whereas normally with these Moka Pots the only way you control the flow is by changing the heat, which is not very quick, you know, not very responsive. The other thing that's interesting about this is that it holds so much coffee. So that's about 50 grams of ground coffee go in here, which is a lot of coffee. This one here, for making 2 cups, it would normally take about 20 grams of coffee by comparison. So you can see it's much smaller, more appropriate size, I think. This one is really for making like 4 cups of coffee, I think. They also come with this little neat divider, so you can put it in this way and reduce it down to about 30 grams of coffee, or you can flip it right up this way and use it for about 15 grams of coffee. So it's about 1 cup, then about 2-3 cups, and then about 4 cups for all of those different options. Most of the reviews I saw about people using this, or instructions on, they say don't even use this, don't bother. Some of them suggest using it as a tamper, but I actually bought a Bellman tamper, which works much better. It's got a hole in it so you can easily tamp it down. So the main problem I found with this is that you put the ground coffee in here, you heat it up, the steam pressure forces the water up through the center, through here, and then out through this nozzle when it's positioned like this. And when you turn the valve off and stop expressing coffee, the water that's all contained in here runs down, so you end up with coffee tainted water in here, and then you have to use that for making your steam. I found that the first time I was using this, the steam smelt so bad I honestly thought the cat had done a whoopsie in the kitchen where I was testing it. Then I realized it was actually just the steam coming out of here just smelt like burnt coffee. I tried steaming the milk, and when I smelt or tasted the milk, I could easily taste the burnt coffee smell. So no matter how good you made your coffee from the Moka Pot part of it, you wreck it by trying to add the steamed milk. I was a bit confused, so I contacted the supplier, online supplier where I bought the unit, and asked, do they have any suggestions? Am I doing anything wrong? They basically sent me back to the instructions, which I had followed to the T. They also suggested that maybe you could steam your milk first, but really that doesn't work with the workflow, because you know, you steam like enough for 1 cup of coffee, and then what do you do with that steamed milk? You know, you might make 3 cups of coffee, so what do you have, 3 jugs spinning like this to try and keep them in the right state? It just doesn't really work out. The other thing I found was that the very first time I used it, the coffee that came out of the end of this nozzle was very, very watery. When this is supplied, this little seal is installed with the narrow part at the top. So obviously what was happening when I first tried it was water was getting around here, coming up through the center, and that was just watering down any coffee that was actually coming through the coffee bed. So the fix for that was just a simple matter of turning it upside down. So there's a tip for people who want to keep using this. Maybe some people are happy with using this, I'm not sure. It's certainly nice having the gauge. But what I found is it's just much more practical to have a separate steamer and a separate Moka Pot. Then you don't end up with any coffee water in your milk steamer. The Moka Pot makes brilliant coffee. So yeah, I've used this recently when we went camping. As is very popular these days, I used an induction stove, and these Bellman units both work on induction, which is great, and this Moka Pot also works on induction. So what I did in terms of workflow, I just heated up the milk steamer so that it was nice and hot, waited until it started venting steam from the handle so it's ready to go. Then I put that aside. Then I filled water in here just below the valve and boiled that. When that water was boiled, then I added the coffee part and the top. Used a rag, reattached it and turned this right down to the lowest setting while it was extracting the coffee. And then after that, just put this back onto the power and it was ready to steam a couple of cups of milk, and it was a good experience. So yeah, I just think it's a bit of a fail. I'm sorry to the Bellman company for saying there are problems with their product, but this is my experience. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually selling this. I hope the next person has a better experience, or perhaps they aren't so fussy with their coffee. Yeah, it's a shame because it's really well built. The gauge is nice. You know, it certainly looks good. The actual steam nozzle I found was a little bit weird on this one. The steam nozzle on this one, which should be exactly the same, is a bit better, works better. But they're both 2-hole nozzles, so I'm not quite sure what that was about. This one, it just seemed to blow milk out of the jug for some reason when I was trying to stretch the milk. Anyway, so that's my experience. I haven't seen anyone online mention this particular problem with the Bellman CX-25P. This is the box that it comes in, by the way. So, yeah, the local website was really pushing these over Christmas. They must have sold a lot of them. They had them way reduced in price. It looked so good that I actually ended up buying one and had high hopes for it, but I found I would much rather use these two. These two are better than this 2-in-1. So that's it. Tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me if you think I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I've just missed something really obvious. And tell me if you've had the same experience. Maybe you've found a way around it. I'd be very interested to know. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you.